It's not just mine, his or her house. This is our house.
DJ Tyrone Lowe. Hello everyone, my name is Tyrone Lowe. I'm the host and producer of T-Lo Video Productions and also the owner and creator of The Legends. And in the house today we have the infamous Anthony Malloy. Welcome to my show.
Thank you so much.
How's it going, man?
Better now.
That's nice to know. Anthony, let's talk about the beginning of your career because you have longevity in your career. So let's talk about the beginning, how you actually got started in doing musical production and also being a performer.
And not just being cliche, but thanks for asking.
Okay.
First, I want to say how honored and humbled and appreciative to you I am for giving me this opportunity to speak to the audience that will tune in and then can remember some of the stuff that we've done.
Right.
I started in dance music with Boyd Jarvis and Timmy Regisford as a background singer for the group Visual. And we ran with that and became part of the New York City club gig posse. There were some of us, many of us, that were running around making $100 a minute or more on stages in New York City. And club music and dance music and New York City dance music was at its strongest and most impressive point. I did 2 singles with Visual, and I also knew that because Boyd didn't really hear my voice as a lead voice, that I might need to do something else. So I wrote a song called No Favors, as in, don't do me no favors, baby.
Right. Okay.
And that was in 1984. And so I was beginning to branch away from the Visual situation. Just in time, I guess. I did No Favors in 1984, and it went to #1 on the Billboard dance charts. And that was very validating.
Okay.
It also offered me the opportunity to do other gigs with my new group. So at some point, I was changing costumes and limousines to be one act here and one act there. Jelly Bean Benitez signed me to Warner Brothers, to his label, back in, I think, '86. I had a devastating, nearly fatal car accident. After we had begun work on our project, I did the single What I Like with Jelly Bean, with many notables in the background, and I decided that I had too much energy and too much enthusiasm and too much to say to die or to step back. I'm trying to encapsulate this so we don't take too long. The What I Like single from the Suspense album on Jelly Bean Warner Brothers Records went to #1 as well on the Billboard charts. I enjoyed almost a fantasy time in club music and in entertainment in New York City. And nothing good lasts forever, even if it's your life. and I decided to go into social work. I blew the dust off my bachelor's degree. In the meantime, it turns out, in between there, what I didn't tell you was that Paul Simpson, who went to the same high school as me, heard No Favors, decided that he wouldn't mind working with someone who had a #1 Billboard dance record, and we did You Don't Know.
Right.
The song content vocal for which was not up to par or standard, but the ad-libs that I had done in the studio was such that a remix that is now legendary, historic, classical, iconic.
Very much.
You Don't Know. It's something that seems to be forever able to call all people to the dance floor as if all hands on deck, we about to do it.
And it's very funny because I played in a lot of the clubs, and I know when I throw that on, it's like instantaneous. You know, everybody just goes right to the floor. You know, when I first got the record from Easy Street, I had got the vocal part of it.
Yeah.
You know,
It
and
wasn't
I
up
played
there.
that.
It wasn't up
just
to par. It wasn't.
You know,
Yeah, I'm
but
sorry.
when they sent me the dub version, that was it. And to today, it still packs the floor.
And that humbles me too, believe it, because
Right.
so many people, especially today, are after attention and fame, notoriety, and visual like presence. But I have the privilege, by way of that tune in particular, amongst other things, to be present as long as dance music is being played around the world. And that phone calls from as far as Australia or Portugal or whatever, they're playing your song. They put the phone up and it's like, oh, 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 oh. And I'm like, wow. So
It's like a club ritual with that.
it's such a blessing, you know, to have had that happen. Although I haven't been paid properly by it or all of the offshoots, remixes, samples, whatever it is.
Right.
I'm just like, I love to dance. so when I see something I did make people around the world just get up, you know, it's
How
like
has
that.
the music from then changed from then to now? I mean, how do you feel about that?
You only have one show. With me anyway, so I don't want to
Yeah.
take too much time, but at the risk of seeming judgmental, I'm going to say that there's always going to be a pop music formula, or a formula per se for different genres. That's managed to be mixed, and people that are talented enough to be musically creative aren't necessarily the ones that are being heard from. So it seems that with a beat, a sound effect, some auto-tune, and an angry person, even if it's not the whole record, part of that is going to be what sells a song today. So we've fallen into a rut, and it's one that contains music that isn't necessarily kind or informative. But I mean, things change, and I hope that that 2-year-old children won't have to be listening to gangster rap and before they can write their names, be accepting themselves as shorties or thoughts or hoochies or whatever. God love us for what we've done with music and creativity around the world as black people and as urban people, but we should put a little more kindness in what we hear today and not just always adhere to the formula.
Let's talk about some of the legends that you work with. I know Jocelyn Brown was one.
Well, the major label recording artist status that I newly acquired back then after signing to Jelly Bean and Warner Brothers offered me opportunities to work with folks. Audrey Will, Jocelyn Brown, Patty Austin sang backgrounds on a demo that never came out. I've worked with, and I'm now working with Strafe. Set it off!
Right, right.
You know.
And Strafe, we was going to get into that point with Strafe. I was going to save the best for last, you know, because you have a new track out, Shaking My Head. And,
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. How did you guys actually put the formula for that?
I'm going to blame it on Strafe.
Okay.
Because I got a call and it said, hey, Malloy. I said, hey, what's up? Surprise. He said, someone gave me a track and says that you and me and Aaron Hansen should do this as a group project on a dance record.
Okay.
I
And
said,
shout out to you, Strafe.
oh, wait. And so I said, yeah, okay, right. He said, I'm totally serious. I said, I haven't talked to you in months, and you call me up and tell me this. He says, I'm really serious. You, me, Aaron, on one track, let's do this tune. I said, well, send me the track. He sent me the track. And I was like, holy, I'm in. So I began writing it about a day later. I, in my writing, tend to have a fallback, which is making songs of tragedy, love, devotion, or confusion into dance music, and Shaking My Head seemed and came out to be a thing where I did the scenario to make it about a man who's been abused, who's been confined, who's been underappreciated, who tries to communicate but can't. The whole emotional verbal abuse thing came to me as a theme as I began putting my pen to paper. So I wrote a song about all men who have to deal with women that are consistently caustic in the way that they talk and the way that they address things and what they expect. And so I managed to put it into my Malloy, like blender, and it came out with this Shaking My Head song. It's about a man not beating his kids, not slapping his wife, not acting out, talking too loud, being arrested, or stuff like that. Instead of that, just shake your head, figure out a plan, how you can move on to the next step. I thought it was relevant today, and I thought it was timely, and songs in general don't have very much substance.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like if people like Paul Simon or John Lennon or Marvin Gaye or Stevie Wonder aren't writing a song, you're not necessarily going to get, that sounds prejudiced, but you're not going to get so much emotional content. Stuff that rings like, in here, like, yo, you understand me, you get what I'm going through, and thank you for this song as a tool to use in my life going forward. So that may sound, not modest, but that's the level of songwriting that I want to be able to present as long as I'm left here and blessed.
So let your viewers know, do you have any things that's coming up as far as performances and things of that nature?
Actually, right now, because the three of us were all front men in our own right, Strafe being, and still working at Strafe, the front man.
Right.
Aaron, still working, being there and doing stuff like that as his own acting, and me having done spotty things in the interim. We're waiting for the right kind of presentation package, which may take the form of promotional shows, release party things, as well as interviews like the one you're giving us and the one that you plan on doing with Strafe.
Right.
Later on. Hoping that we can sift through the mesh of stuff that happens online, because I would speculate to say that there's at least 10,000 dance songs released every day by people, less notable than we are. So it's going to take a minute to find the right strategy in terms of my involvement in the promotion and the exploitation of us. But the story rings beautiful. I think that we're still alive. That we're all like
that.
That we're all we're all not just respectful but appreciative of each other's talents, and can manage to do something because there's power in unity.
Right.
It is.
So let me ask you a question. For the upcoming artists that's trying to trail their artistry, what suggestions can you give to them?
Without sounding cliche, be who you are. If you can't do that right away, be as much of yourself as you can be until you get to the point where you can be who you are. Try to write and express yourself honestly, or at least projecting what you understand to be other people's experiences at the time you're living. And be as knowledgeable as you can with the things that you're attracted to or have an affinity for. If it's musical composition, if it's arranging, if it's digital audio editing or recording, if it's image style, whatever it is, just do that, believe in it, represent it proudly and securely, and sooner or later someone's gonna be like, shit, I get it, I get it, and good luck.
How do you feel about the house community right now? I mean, the level of it. And if you had the power to actually lift it up and empower it to an ultimate state, how would you actually go about it?
I try to have a place where adult people can come and not have to worry about the possibility of being shot or that other dumb stuff. I'd like to have a place where the only thing that is restricted is animosity or criticism. I'd like to have a place where we could all dance, be together, and receive messages that are unifying as well as, expressive and release some stuff. In those days, we had a chance to hear music that would touch our hearts, that would solve our problems, that would explain our situations, that we would want to share with other people just because the message you need to hear is in this song. And also have it not as restricted because we're so politically correct these days that it becomes stagnating. You know what I mean? And so on the one hand, you got people making it rain. On the other hand, you have people talking about you being arrested for saying something wrong about some people you don't like. So that's a delicate balance to try to have to navigate. But good luck to the dancers and good luck to the music makers and energy lovers and the physically expressive people. I wish you luck finding anything like what we had back then. But you got to do it. You got to work with what we have.
So it's a pleasure to have you here because so much history And if people really went back and see the credits of what you've done to the industry, man, I believe that they'd actually be amazed. You know, I love your talentry because you're a great vocal artist, and you also a great lyric artist.
Thank you
You
very, very,
know,
very
and
much.
you're very deep. You know, I listened to "Shaking My Head." I was like, wow.
But you get it, right? By the second
I
time
get
you
it.
hear it, and you
Well,
get
when I was in Strafe Studio, I heard it,
right.
you know, and he said, well, Ty, you know what? I think you have to listen to it again.
Yeah.
And I listened to it again, and then when I listened to it, I said, you know what? I got it, you know.
It makes sense. And songs
It
these days
does,
on the dance floor, they have no content almost.
right. You
And
know,
like, why
the
can't?
message is phenomenal,
Thank you. Thank you.
phenomenal,
Thank you.
and good empowerment for people that are actually here.
Thank you.
And hopefully it can change some people's minds about their attitudes and the things that they're actually trying to bring forth.
Thank you. You're giving me goosebumps because if one person doesn't hurt or hate somebody because of this song and finds the strength in themselves to step away before stepping themselves into like some stupid, regrettable stuff,
Right.
then I've done my job. If one person doesn't yell in front of their kids tomorrow night, you know what I mean?
Well, you know, what I get out of the track is developing a certain type of positive mindset
Yeah.
that you don't have to have every reaction or say react to every reaction in a way of being,
Boom.
you know,
Boom. And now, at the risk of sounding psychosocial, it's best to respond rather than react.
Right.
If you just react, it's like a reflex. You didn't have yourself thinking through what it was that you really got or need to do in response. To respond is to actually process what's going on and then strategically, with some patience, address the issue then. So reacting doesn't have as much strength or potency as responding does.
Right.
And that's what, and the response I'm asking these men to do in this tune, or anybody who's suffering from being verbally abused, what I'm asking is respond and develop the strategy for changing this that's gonna be on you. Because what people don't necessarily have the courage to do is understand that they are the main ingredient in their lives. No matter
Right.
who they love, no matter who they've made, no
and
matter,
you know, also it's
you
a
know?
good example that, you know, dealing with the young folks as well, you know, how to actually set by example as far as being positive, because we go by lead and they follow.
Right.
You know, and we don't want to make it things feel, I might say, make it things feel acceptable to them to say,
Right,
well,
right.
he
Everything's-
did it, so why can't I do it?
Yeah, basically.
You understand what I'm saying?
You know,
So it's all about showing love and courtesy. You
And,
know,
and what you
and,
said was right too, because like in the first two lines, escaping your mindset, thinking outside the box that
Right.
the words you're saying are trying to put me into, is a declaration in and of itself. It's almost a preamble
yeah.
to like, I'm not gonna let you mess me up enough to be all contained in this box of your perception of
Right.
me. I'm escaping your mindset.
Well, I think the world could use a lot of change, and it's going to take a lot of messages. It's going to take a lot of prayer, or you know, it's going to take a lot of
It's
prayer
so
to
true.
change these
So
political
true.
officials
So
as
true.
well. That's supposed to be so much setting examples.
So true.
You know, and I think that they are condemning us as far as morals and principles. You know, and if we don't get the message to the young generation, I don't know exactly what's going to happen. You know, I try to always say to
I know.
myself, what's it going to be like next 5, 10 years
I
from
know,
now?
you know.
You know, if it's so crucial now, what's actually going to happen?
And we're getting used to the tragedy. We're getting used to it. We're accepting it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And one of the tragedies on a social level is not having dance floors where you can just go dance your ass off, so to speak, and get your without you having to be postured and making sure, because everyone's got these cameras and you never know who they're going to be photographed, and people are actually standing on the dance floor with their phone up rather than actually dancing to the music that the DJ is playing. People are busy trying to pull people away from situations that they're enjoying because they didn't see them in it and they want a selfie.
Right.
I mean, there's all kinds of things. We're living in a moment where we're trying to put out stuff as presentable, and it's less than what you're
So, Anthony, tell the viewers, how can they contact you?
Hi guys, I'm Anthony Malloy, and you can contact me at anthonymalloy.com, at anthony.malloy Instagram, and Hard Soul Recordings,
So you know what is I'm glad to have you on my show, and hopefully, when they see this footage, they really get to know who the real Anthony Malloy is.
Well, I'm kind of loquacious. I kind of talk a lot, but you asked me some
And
good
it's cool.
questions.
I mean, that's what
I
it's all
appreciate
about.
it.
And I'm glad to have you here. And for my viewers, I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in. And I hope that you got something out of the message. This segment wasn't only just about the music. It was actually about the message that was bring forth for people to actually concur. I like to say to myself, well, listen, if I'm gonna do a show, it should be a good message behind it, and not only just bringing forth the artist, but to let people know that love is the only way that we can actually get through this world without condemning ourselves with violence and all these political negative things that we're going through right now. And with that, I tell everybody right now, stay tuned. So my name is Tyrone Lowe, host, creator, owner of T-Lo Video Production, and everybody has a very nice day.
At what point is enough enough? At what point do you just try to understand how you can give and give and give and love and give, and there's just nothing in return? So I end up turning around, shaking my head. I'm getting you out of my system. I am moving on with my life, and you know what? Shaking my head. I'm not gonna take it. Shaking my head. No, 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 no. Shaking my head. See me walking out.
Escaping your mindset, thinking outside the box. That the words you're saying are trying to put me into. But you can't talk, you're so narrow-minded. But soon I'll see my way. I see now how you prefer an argument. You're not the boss of me, I'll help myself out.
Tell him, Malloy.
Oh, so often I try to talk to you, but I've taken you lately. Straight.
How can I explain myself to someone who cannot be talked to? You know what name you like to call me, so I've quit listening to you. Heaven knows how often I've tried to talk to you, but you won't listen to
What I have to say, escaping your mindset, thinking outside the box. That the words you're saying are trying to put me into, but you can't talk.
You're so narrow-minded. You always want me to agree.
But I know now, soon I'll see my way away from you. You I can't talk to. So it goes, I see you prefer an argument. Can't be the boss of me, I'll help myself out. I'll help myself out. Soon you see me walking out that door. All this conflict and blame, baby. You call me
his or her house. This is our house.
My assignment, my calling is to inspire, uplift.
You have to make sure your people are partying.
All I want to do is just bring joy to the dance floor and watch people dance.
Tino.
DJ Tyrone Lowe.